The easiest way to stop being underpaid, overlooked, and overwhelmed is to learn how to market. I know everyone online is telling you to learn a new skill, to get into tech, to go back to school, or to do something like learn how to code. Marketing is the reason why people even know about all of those things in the first place. And here's the kicker: marketing is everywhere. Every job, every product, every service. And most people don't even realize how powerful learning the skill of marketing actually is. I think there is often a really big misconception too around what marketing actually is. So, what is it? Let's define it. It's not just scrolling through social media or Facebook ads, learning how to mess with meta or selling stuff. Marketing really comes down to the storytelling and the psychology of human behavior, the reason why people want to do things, the reason why people want to purchase items. It really is about strategy. It's coming together, what are they called? Those Venn diagrams, right, that are like circle, middle part is what the answer is or what things have in common. Marketing is almost like those Venn diagrams of all of those things, and then in the middle is going to be where you find the substance of what marketing is. So you'll have storytelling, you'll have psychology, you'll have strategy, right? You'll have selling, and then in the middle of all of that stuff is going to be the good stuff. That's where marketing lives. It's knowing how to take a message, a mission, or a brand and make people care about it. You're already doing it more than likely every time you post online, every time you talk about yourself on a job interview, every time you leave a review for a place you ate or something you purchased. That is all where marketing lives. But why is marketing specifically such a high value skill? Well, companies pay big money to people who know how to grab people's attention and drive results. That's really what the bottom line of marketing is. If you're really good at telling a story, tapping into somebody's psychology, and making them pay dollars for a product, service, brand, and whatever the case may be that you're selling, you will make lots of money. It's one of the few skills that actually works out for you in any industry, in tech, in fashion, events, healthcare, even activism. There's always a marketing team behind all of the branding, the messaging, and the success of a company. So in reality, if you know how to market, you won't be broke for long. It's really just about learning how to acquire the skills that probably already exist inside of you, and then how to implement those within a marketing team. And the good thing about this is that, like I said, any industry needs a marketing team. So if you're somebody who's wanted to get into, I don't know, fashion, for example, for a long time, but you don't really want to do the fashion design, you don't want to be a model, you don't really see yourself being the face of a brand or anything like that, and you're not really super high tech, marketing could be your way into that industry. Marketing could be the way that you crack into an industry and give it a try. The good thing about having marketing skills too is that we are the type of people that could crack into multiple industries and still have transferable skills from industry to industry, because the core of it is always going to be the same no matter where you go. The only thing that's changing is the story and the messaging behind the product that you're selling. So how has marketing as a skill changed my life? Well, I was fired from 2 jobs on 2 separate occasions, and I decided that I didn't want to go back to 9-to-5 life, and I felt like I was sort of trapped because I didn't have resources or skills. I went to college and I got a degree in sociology. I really thought that I was going to be a social activist or a social worker, and really prematurely, actually, I thought I was going to go to law school and either become an immigration lawyer or a politician or something of that nature. Quickly into my senior year of college, I realized that I didn't want to continue to go to school. I didn't want to do that. So when I left college, I felt kind of like I was left with very limited options. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in sociology. There aren't many people that get a degree in sociology or psychology and pursue careers in those fields without getting more education. Would have continued to go to school. To be honest, I love school and I love learning, and I consider myself to be decently good at it, but I didn't have the money. I left college already in debt. I currently still am in debt from pursuing my 4-year degree, and I knew that higher education was not going to be the answer for me, especially in the fields that I was considering. If I went to school for social work and I ended up over 60K in debt or something like that, then it would be a very long time before I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. So I gave up the idea on going to school. Plus, by that time I graduated, I didn't want to go back to school anymore. I wanted to experience real life. I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to be in the field. I wanted to be working. Well, after spending some time in education, I knew that I wasn't making enough money and I was getting burnt out very quickly. So I quickly pivoted into recruiting. And while I was a recruiter for a little while, I ended up getting fired from my second agency. Then I picked up another job. It was kind of a logistics style position with a fitness equipment company, which completely matched my style a lot better. And I got fired from that position too because there were a lot of unlawful things going on in the workplace that I didn't agree with. And once I stood up for myself, I got fired. So, long career history. My resume probably goes on for 2, 3, 4 pages at this point because I've done so many different jobs and I've tried to get my hands dirty with so many different styles of work, and none of them ever worked for me. By the time I got fired the last time, I was really at the end of my rope. I had moved back home mostly to save money and to not have to struggle while I was in a transition period, but also because my mom was sick and I needed to be by her side at the time. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I started looking into digital marketing and I said, hey, I could be really good at this. I love social media, like putting together fun content. And I had a couple of my TikToks had blown up at that point. And so I was like, hey, I'm kind of good at this. Maybe I should lean into this because I think that I'm a pretty good storyteller. When I found Google's digital marketing course, it really did completely shift my perspective. I felt like I was catapulted into a whole fresh new world, fresh new legs. So I immediately did my research, and the only thing that consumed my mind day in and day out was, how am I going to be able to take this course for little to no money? And I actually ended up figuring out a way to apply for financial aid for that course, and I got it for free. I could not believe it. When I learned the basics of digital marketing and I was getting my mind right for entering this new world, the digital economy, everything changed. Like I said, my perspective had completely shifted already. So when I finally took those courses, I was like, wow, I feel super empowered. I went from survival mode to, wow, I could be building something very real. And the possibilities started opening up and they were endless for me in my mind, right? Because this is me just building things and trying to see what will come to fruition, but still in my mind. But immediately I was like, I could build my own business now because I know how to market it. I could market other small businesses. But the point of all of that is to say that I had options. I had options now, whereas before I felt like I was just on a hamster wheel. And so that's when I decided I wasn't going to go back to full-time work. I was bartending, I was serving, I was doing stuff that obviously people that with degrees don't usually do. But I was like, I would rather do this than work in an office. And I have all this extra time because when you're bartending and serving, your schedule's a little bit more flexible. And I was like, I have all this extra time to just figure it out. So I didn't have a degree or connections. I just had Wi-Fi. I had YouTube tutorials. I had the Google certifications. That was enough for me to start. That was enough for me to light a little bit of fire and passion inside of me. And I just ran with it from there. So many people who are trying to crack into this field or the digital economy don't know where to start. So a very easy, basic way to get started is learning copywriting basics. If you learn how to be a copywriter, you can easily start freelancing immediately. And there are tons of people who are too busy running big companies or growing businesses that don't have time to do copywriting. This could apply to many digital channels. and you just clean it up for them and you get them to be essentially more visible, or you get people to resonate more with an ad. That's like copywriting basics. Another thing that you could do is study social media trends and strategy. Many people think social media is fun, but when it comes down to running a busy, successful business, most business owners don't have time for it. Small businesses don't necessarily like to pay for social media managers, and even large companies don't like to pay a lot of money for social media managers, but it is still a great skill to acquire. And if you can even grow an Instagram from zero in a specific niche, you could add that to your own portfolio and boom, you're good to go. You have your first piece of work that you did just because you wanted to show, as an example, the type of work that you can do on social media. The most important thing is that you really need to start shifting the way that you look at brands and how they communicate with their audiences. You need to be looking at these things from the lens of an artist. What is the messaging behind this ad? For example, why would they say this in this way, or use these visuals, or use these colors? Once you start looking at the way that brands are communicating with us, you're starting to tap into your marketing brain. If you want to start with yourself online, just start talking about what you love. Start talking about anything and everything that you love, anything that you can talk to a brick wall about for 2 hours. Talk to the camera about it instead. Just talk about the things that you love and then start to track what makes people listen to you. And then do that over and over and over and over again. Before you know it, you've built a personal brand around something that you're already super passionate about. If no one's ever told you this before, let me be the first to tell you. Marketing yourself is not cringy. It's powerful, and it might be the very thing that changes your life, like it did mine.